Good evening, everybody. 7 p.m. I'd like to get started. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please remain standing for a moment of silence for Clara Sari, who served the township and the community for several years. Thank you. Motion to approve the minutes of the July 13th, 2017 Manistee Township Board and the June 9th, 2017 Special Board meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the two meetings.
It's been moved supported that the minutes of the July 13th, 2017 and the June 19th, 2017 excuse me, special board meeting be accepted, placed on file. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. None opposed? You've received a copy of your treasurer's report. Any comments? If not, we'll place them on file. Manistee Township Planning Commission accepted minutes of July 6th, 2017. Any comments? If not, place those on file. No appeal?
No appeal.
Correspondence in your packet was the Planning Commission meeting. Anyone with anything to bring before the board at this time? Jeff, anything going on at the county level?
Well, I'll give you a quick recap, which I know a couple of you have heard it all before, but bear with me. The last board meeting for July 18th, the big news of the day is Mr. Kaminsky gave us his letter that he's going to retire finally. So his last day is scheduled to be February 28th. So now we're taking that to personnel as far as trying to begin the search and try to find a replacement for Tom.
You shouldn't say finally, I always say Tom.
Well, he's been talking about it for a couple of years. But other than that, let's see here. We're still moving forward with it. Tentative timber sale, hopefully on the property that we sold to Munson, that is behind the hospital. We did our annual opt-out of PA 152 for the county employees, so that's just to recap that for you, so that the county employees are not paying 20% of the premium for their health care. They're currently paying 9% as opposed to 20%. The $1.5 million that we received from the sale of the hospital, and plus the sale of the land that I've reported to you in the past, has finally gone to MERS for the retirement for the pension, and that is going to lower our costs in excess of $120,000 annually. We have a tentative budget of just a little over $11 million. At the moment, we're going to have to take about $268,000 from the Budget Stabilization Fund. That's starting to get to a level where I don't know if we're going to come out in the black next year. We've always taken money from the Budget Stabilization Fund, anywhere from $100,000 to $200,000, and generally when the receipts come in and at the end of the year we wind up in the black. We're starting to push those limits. We'll see what the board, if this actually becomes our final budget, and see where it goes from there. But we do have a tentative budget. The DDA came before the county board, gave us a presentation. Just a couple of notes. There's 19% vacant property inside the boundaries of the DDA. 25% of the residency in the buildings there is for professional. 27% is retail. Believe it or not, 24% of the budget that comes out from the taxes that the DDA receives to operate comes out of the county coffers. So it's substantial. We don't have place at the table. We're going to try to get a place on at least a committee. So we have a little bit of say in what goes on into that. So we're going to try to get a commissioner on there in the near future. There's also discussion of a recreational authority, and their primary concern is trying to get one voice to speak on behalf of trying to acquire grants, trails, what have you. Yeah, we'll see where that goes, but that keeps chugging along. There's been a lot of discussion on AES. They are looking to reorganize. Tim Urban has finally turned in his papers where he is going to be done no later, and keep in mind, no later than September 15th. So they are in the search for an executive director, which at the moment, I can tell you at the city and at the county, we're under contract through the end of this year. And then we have put money, basically a set aside line item, to where in the future, if we agree with the reorganization, we will fund it. To what degree, I don't know. At the moment, we're putting around $90,000 a year into that for economic development. We spend a lot of, our concern is we don't have enough tangible things to where we can say what is happening. We want more accountability, and the organization is just run too loosely.
Who's doing the search for the new executive?
It'd be the, I want to tell you, the executive committee of AES.
Oh, so AES is searching.
Yes. What else here? One other thing, let's see here, there's a few things. As you know from the intergovernmental meeting, John and Dennis, the tribe is putting up 10 new houses up there on the tribal property. Medical office buildings going on, you know that. And for a commercial break, we got TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. Tomorrow, for the first time on River Street, they're closing River Street down. And on the 12th, which is today is the 10th, tomorrow is the 11th. So Saturday, there's going to be catamaran races out on the lake, along with Grapes on the River. Bar Lake Improvement Board. As you know, we've got a void there that needs to get filled. I don't know if you've received any letters in regard to that, but
It's on the agenda, Jeff.
okay, so that's good. We need to move forward with that. I'll be discussing that with you too, also probably before the next your next board meeting. As I've talked to you in the past individually, to some degree, I'd like to see something happen where it possibly could be run with a committee from the township board. I'd be more than happy to serve on that, but I've shared my thoughts with you, and I'll pursue that at a little more down the road. Also, I had the opportunity, we thought it was a prank. I was having lunch a couple weeks ago on a Wednesday, and I received a phone call, and they said it was from the White House. And I was polite, took the number down. They told me that they would wanted to know if I wanted anything to contribute to the invitation for a meeting at the White House, and I just, oh, okay. When the email comes, I'll respond accordingly. So 2 days later, the email came, and lo and behold, it was legit and for real. I decided to go. I went at my own expense, and I'm glad I went. I have a number of contacts for a number of agencies, and I can tell you everybody who was there, and it was both parties, everybody was invited from the Michigan delegation of county commissioners. There was probably 75 commissioners there that went. There was a few other elected officials there, being clerks or administrators, and everybody was impressed with the attitude from the administration, that they wanted to see things be able to streamline them. You know, if there's roadblocks, what kind of roadblocks are in the way? What can they do to do better? It was refreshing, to say the least, as opposed to dealing with general bureaucracy. They want to remove roadblocks and make things easier and better. That's all I can tell you. It was worth going, and again, I've got a lot of contacts now that I wouldn't have had if I didn't go. So I guess that's it for me.
Thank you, Jeff. Any questions?
Yeah, I got a question on the hospital. I have heard What is the addition, the new building going to be? Initially, I heard office space.
It's office space, and they're also going to move their physical therapy into that.
Okay, I also heard that, and I didn't know if it was going to be both, and then, of course, as far as what happens to existing physical therapy. Well, wait, you said physical therapy. I am now thinking of health connection, but that's not.
I can't answer that. I'm referring to it as physical therapy, and I think that's what it is. I don't know if the connection's moving there or not.
Okay.
I have plans, but it's usually nothing
Yeah.
controlled or,
Any other questions for Jeff? Thanks, sir.
Yep.
Your Honor, maybe I should call you now.
Mr. Honor?
Oh, by the way, the road, with the exception of what's right in front of my house, I thought has gone extremely well.
I think that's a bad spot right there.
Building administrator, anything going on? Anything going on in your office, guy?
Yeah. I have received one new written complaint, so I have 5 total that I'm working on. I'm moving forward with them. I just, it's slow progress. During the month of August, I received 5 applications for land use permits, 2 new homes, both on Lakeshore Road, 2 accessory buildings, and a home occupation. I wanted to tell you what the Planning Commission's working on. The US 31 access management, overlay zone, and sign amendment to the zoning ordinance, they're still discussing. They approved a site plan for auto-zoned to build on the corner of 55 and US 31, contingent upon approval of some other, the drain commissioner and soil erosion permits and that.
Just while you brought that up, Guy, getting a hold of Ken right now as the drain commissioner. He's had some ongoing family
It's
problems. It's not been easy.
Yeah. I'm working through back channels to get hold of him. But he's been responsive.
Okay, good.
Working on local enforcement of the construction codes and administration. I provided copies of the ordinance and both contracts to the Planning Commission and to this board, because I was asked to expedite that action. Prior to this meeting, they discussed that. John, I don't have the motion, but the Planning Commission recommended that the township move forward for local control of the administration and construction code enforcement when it's agreeable to the parties. And then I brought up the issue with short-term vacation rentals. Seems to be a hot topic throughout the state, throughout the nation, actually. Trying to get them up to speed on it. We have some problems here in the township. People came to see me last week and the week before in their particular neighborhoods. So I've asked Richard, our counsel, to start looking into it, ask for his recommendation on how we should proceed. And I'm busy. But even though I'm busy, I'm taking off next week, so. So I'll be busier when I get back.
Any questions for Guy? Thank you, sir. Chuck, fire department?
For the month of July, we had a total of 27 activities, 5 fire-related, 16 medical, meeting, station, training, and other activities, 6. Total complaint hours were 39. Chief and officers had 68 hours total. As far as the station, we had some of that crushed concrete around the edges of the existing concrete to protect the edges. We are moving forward with the training facility. We finally got a bid in that we approved for adding the handrails, the stairs that are out there, the grading and the pitch roof. So hopefully next couple of months that'll be up and more functional. We've been using it for training as it sits, but we'll be able to get up on the top of the handrails now. The equipment, the new SCBA's we put into service and they actually went into use at a gas leak we had the other day. The folks that were using them really liked them. They were pretty simple, much lighter than the older ones. Apparatus, pump and ladder testing should be coming up later this month. Just found that out the other day. And also, just kind of a reminder, 131, that's a 1993 engine. Kind of look at replacing that due to the latest thing that we found that leaks and cavitation in the pipe. Personnel. I did send out that message to you folks. Wes Owens has got a job at Cadillac City Fire. Sometime in September, he'll be reporting for duty over there, so Wes will be leaving us, unfortunately. He'll be missed. He does a lot of different things at the fire department. He's kind of the head of the training. He's kind of our public events guy too, so he'll be missed. And if you see Wes, congratulate him, because that's a pretty good step for him. Tom Johnson has decided to step down as assistant chief. Tom's been in the department for almost 40 years. Tom told me the other day, it's time. So he's been serving a long time. He's not going anywhere, he just doesn't want to do the assistant duties right now. But he'll still be around the fire department to make rough and stuff like that. He's been available almost 90% of the time since I've been there, over 16 years. And thank you, Tom, for your service and your continued service that you had. I thought he'd be here tonight, but he's not back there.
Run.
But we do have two new personnel that, if we could approve tonight, two applicants that came, Sam Kaczynski and Brad Kamilowski. I hope I said those right. These two fellows were looking to help out, serve the community, and they've been coming to the meetings the last month and a half and helping out already. Pretty squared away folks.
Is that a request?
Yes. Make it official. As far as administrative, we've been talking a little bit about priority dispatch amongst the chief officers of the county. That's kind of been a thing that we've been talking about. It'll help standardize the dispatching system. It's a good thing. Cut down on unneeded lights and sirens and stuff like that are not necessary. Also, we're working with the city in East Lake over the next couple months of doing some pre-planning for the hospital, medical care, and microtel, places like that. So we have a bigger footprint like that. And then be mindful if you burn. We have that number 231-690-5329. You can look up online at the DNR website, and it'll tell you if you're allowed to burn or not. And Matt Cross is an alternate for the burn permits. Dan still got to get with him and explain to him how it works. And that's it.
So you're looking for a motion to approve
Sam Kaczynski and
Sam Kaczynski and
Brad Kamilowski.
Brad Kamilowski.
I think it's
Correct.
Don't know what silent is.
Is there a motion to accept these two as, are these probationary firemen?
They'll be probationary because they're always probationary when we bring them on.
I'll make a motion to accept the two proposed fire cadets, right?
Just probationary.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Been moved, supported that the Manistee Township accept Sam Kaczynski and Brad Kamilowski as probationary firemen for the Manistee Township Fire Department. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. None opposed? Thank you very much, Chuck, and please express our thanks to everybody over there. What are you going to do about your assistant chief?
Well, and Wes is a captain too, so one of the things we'll have to sit down and do here in the next few weeks is discuss alternates for those positions, because they're both key positions. See who's interested in those.
Tom is finished as of this month, right?
End of
July
July.
31st was my understanding.
July 31st. And Wes has not submitted his resignation yet?
No, he's uncertain on his actual official start date, sometime in September, but the process for the hiring over in Cadillac takes some time. They do one test, and they get the results, and they go progress on it, so it's taking a while. We're hoping he didn't pass his psych test, but he did. He'll do well.
Thanks, Chuck.
You mentioned, if I may, 16 medical runs. I was unaware that we were still doing medical runs.
Yeah, we haven't
I
stopped.
thought we were not staffed for it.
No, we're still doing medical runs.
Okay,
We,
obviously.
right, we haven't stopped doing medical runs. There was a couple months there where we didn't have a lot of people around, but since then we had masses at EMR class, and then we just had a couple people come back around there now, so, and then Thomas went to a couple calls. And then Gordon is an EMR also, so he's been responding during the daytime now when he's off shift. So every little bit helps. Everybody brings a little bit more to the table. We actually have a couple other folks that took a leave of absence that are coming back for children board and stuff, so they're coming back. It's always fluctuating.
Don't stop recruiting.
No, we're still recruiting. Stuff on Facebook and pester people that I know that are firefighter qualified.
Yeah, Dennis.
Somebody in the back. No, I send out reminders to people.
Thanks, Chuck. As far as the liquor inspection is concerned, there are no significant changes. Business to attend to, the Planning Commission and Bar Lake Improvement Board, we need to fill Clara's position. She did a fine job in both capacities. The township will accept, we don't have a job application per se at this point, but the township will be accepting like written letters of interest or something along those lines. Will that suffice? Okay. To appoint someone for the Bar Lake Improvement Board and Clara's position on the planning commission.
We have an application form on the website, don't
We do.
we? Okay.
We still have that.
Okay.
Is it
But
current? I mean, is it,
Well,
does it
it's kind
pertain
of-
to these two positions?
It's
Yes.
generic.
it's just generic. It is usable. That would work. A letter of interest would work.
Doesn't Clara have a position yet at the Oaks? Did we ever fill that?
Jeff has been taking care of that.
Yeah. that's-
Well, I go as county commissioner.
Yeah.
Well,
I sent,
two
I
hats
did
on that
that.
day.
Yes, you do.
I'll be requesting it for them.
But at any rate, Clara will be missed.
And she served till the bitter end.
Yep. Public class, I'm sorry.
Gonna miss it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Public Act 230, that's the ordinance and contract, that's with regards to local control over building inspections. For the people in the audience that may not be aware, the township guy has investigated the possibility of having local control over the building inspections in Manistee Township, and what brought that about was local contractors come into town and try to expedite their project and can't get inspections done. So we're trying to do this to try and help them to move along with their projects, help them out some. You guys put a lot of work into this. Before you, you have two contracts. They're not finalized, but time is of the essence with this thing. Guy has to have this in Lansing's hands by September
6th
6th.
for their October 11th meeting.
What they have to have in their hand, they have to have the application fee, which he has, which is a one-page application fee. He has to have these two agreements that are before you, and he also has to have an ordinance. What I would like to do, if possible, is I would like to have this board approve the idea to go ahead with these agreements and ordinance once they are acceptable to both parties. These agreements are agreements that have been brought forth in other places. The whereases and heretofores have to be adjusted, but the basic language, correct me if I'm wrong, but the basic language is in place.
They were good contracts, I thought.
We just don't have agreement from the contractor that we're trying to hire yet. Richard's satisfied with these. You know, we've gone back and forth several times. He wrote the ordinance, you know, just for us, and the ordinance is, you know, meets his approval. So, I mean, I can make the motion to enact an ordinance creating the building department and sign the contracts with AGS when agreeable to both parties.
Then I wouldn't have to. It's upon the recommendation of the planning commission, which has
And-
also
Right.
been up to speed on it.
So the time being of the essence, and maybe possibly the inability to call special meetings to go through this thing. Is there a second to Guy's motion?
I'll second
Would you like him to repeat it?
I would.
Okay.
it. I'm glad you
Motion to enact an ordinance creating a building department and sign the two contracts with AGS when agreeable to both parties.
Okay. Then move supported. Any further discussion?
If the parties cannot come to an agreement, what happens at that point?
You look for another contractor.
Okay.
Well,
Come
I
back
think-
to the table for that?
The motion would fail.
Do we have an alternate? Not right now. There are other, Ludington has a different group working there, so. But this was the only proposal we got when we sent out requests for proposals this winter.
Okay.
It was from this firm, so.
Who uses them, Benzie?
Yeah,
Benzie uses them throughout the country. Springdale Township uses them.
they're everywhere. We see them.
And the city of Cadillac uses, yeah, they're all down the west side of the state.
If you don't make the deadline, when's the next deadline? Next year?
Next year.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much. So, Guy, you didn't get off the hook, you got more work to do. Short-term rentals. Guy, you've had some activity along those lines, there's been letters in the Traverse City paper, Manistee paper.
And I've tried to, pass those on to you as
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
or to this board. The state legislature's introduced legislation to allow them as a residential use in all zoning districts. Traverse City's trying to regulate it. East Bay Township up there is looking at regulating it. There's different methods. Some are doing it by licensing each individual home. And it puts conditions on how many people can be there, how many cars can be there, you know.
So what's-
And then Richard our council, off the top of his head, thinks it ought to be a zoning ordinance, an amendment to the zoning ordinance, if we choose to do something about it. I got a mixed reaction from the planning commission, I would say. Is that fair, John?
Yes, that's fair.
When I brought it up to them a week ago.
Being,
It's a difficult thing.
Yes, it is. And then short term, what's short term? 2 days, 2 weeks, 1 week, 10 days? How many complaints have we had?
What are the complaints? Are the complaints
You know.
because they're being used as such, or is it noise, garbage, traffic,
Well,
or all
I
of
heard
the above?
a commercial use in a residential area where commercial uses are not allowed,
Okay.
although we don't have a definition of what's commercial and what's not. And that's one of the things I've asked Richard to clarify.
Okay.
But I think, I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong in the audience, if these were operated and you just thought it was a new neighbor who was, you know, having a barbecue in the backyard with their kids or grandkids, it wouldn't change the nature of the neighborhood. But some of these are party time, weekend get-togethers, creating noise and ruckus and disturbing the neighborhood. So, now our master plan encourages use, or what was it? More recreational use of the lake shore, or access to the lake shore.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Okay, but what is the,
A written complaint.
what is the complaint of the complainers? Is that a fair question or a clear question?
Jake?
Commercial
I
use.
shouldn't ask.
I believe there's some people in the audience that can address this subject.
You may want to comment, yeah.
You're welcome to.
Well, a couple things. One, it's not a lot according to deed. When they established our subdivision, it says it's for residential use only, and there's no commercial use.
So there's a deed restriction.
Right. And that's way back, 61 or prior, and that's for everybody in there. John?
Jim, the deed restriction, I don't think falls into township regulation. I'm not an attorney, pardon?
I spoke to Richard about
Does it or does it not?
that. We can't enforce a deed restriction.
Okay.
There is an appellate court decision in Michigan that addresses that. And they find that short-term rentals are commercial. And under our deed restrictions would not be allowed.
And that was similar in that court case too. There was a deed restriction in that area.
Yes.
What are you telling me that a short-term rental is?
I don't have the bill or the decision in front of me. I don't know what it was, but for me, it's anything less than 28 days.
That was my question. I don't know what
Yeah.
is considered a short-term rental. If it's 2 days, 2 weeks, I don't know.
From what I've seen so far, there's, in one driveway I went past the other day, there were 7 vehicles. 5 across 3 garage fronts, and then 2 more trucks double deck there. So there's traffic. We have a small subdivision, and they drive like big city people drive. They're in a hurry. So
It's like that on the highway too. We got
this is in our...
We're also running into trespassing. We're getting a lot of that. Those people are coming onto everybody else's property.
well, obviously there is a trespassing law.
Right. We don't feel that we should have to address it with the sheriff's department every week when we get another bunch of renters in, and we have to explain to them again they can't trespass. There's really no reason for it. They also rent out a golf cart along with the rental in one of them, and the golf cart's been a real problem.
They drive around just sightseeing. I mean, kind of wild, and some of the drivers are certainly not of age. It's not even legal to drive it on the road.
I was going to say that it's already addressed in, okay.
Right. But they're still doing it. I mean, we have,
Well,
the sheriff's department has contacted them.
Right. So to make more regulations, I don't see as being the answer with most of what you have complained about at the moment is already addressed.
What did you said you talked to Richard about, or counter counsel about deed restrictions, and what did he say? What did he, I know we don't have a position on it, but did he offer anything as to?
They'd have to bring suit, and the courts would have to enforce the deed restrictions. But we could create an amendment to the zoning ordinance, defining commercial use or short-term use and that kind of thing, so that we could handle it from a zoning perspective also. But that's going to take time, to create
Also,
it.
the Senate bill addresses taking that authority away from you, away from the township and municipalities. That's what the purpose of that bill is to take the authority away from the townships and the cities.
But that's not gone through yet.
Not yet.
It's in committee.
And that's the purpose.
MTA is opposing that.
Right.
And so are,
These houses are large enough that 2 or 3 families can move in all at once. Thus, they bring more cars, they bring more people, and it gets a little bit wild at times.
How many of these homes are there?
There's 3 of them right now.
3 at the moment. They
All
were-
owned by the same person, do you know, or?
No, 2 are owned by one person, 1 is owned by another. And they've been set up specifically for rental.
can you
And
give
they'll
me
rent them out
addresses
for short periods
of
of
these
time,
homes?
few
Can I get
days,
the addresses of these homes from you guys?
5 days, whatever anybody wants.
Yeah, we can do it for you.
I understand how this would create a problem. That doesn't help you at all, but I just.
I think it's only going to become more of an issue with internet rentals on short term, like Airbnb and all that stuff.
My concern is we can write all the ordinances we want, but if no one can enforce them, it's kind of like the recycle thing. We have laws that say you can't do this in a recycle center, but we do it anyway, and there's how many hundreds of people doing that, and they only bother to get the guy with the oil. You know what I mean? 1 out of how many? So you can spend the time and money to write all the ordinances
Even
you
if we
want,
write
but
a
if they don't
township-
enforce it,
If we write a township ordinance, it's still going to be the sheriff to enforce it.
that's what I'm saying. I'm not opposed to writing it, so you have something to stand on, but you can, we have many ordinances that they don't enforce when we call.
What avenues can we pursue to help these people? What can we?
Well, Dennis, it's a double-edged sword, okay? We've discussed this in great detail at the Planning Commission. Do you want to regulate it? We've heard about the cars, okay? On a weekend, we could have 5 cars in a driveway. I don't know, I don't watch it, I don't know what everybody's individual habits are. There could be 5 cars, 7 cars in anybody's driveway on a given weekend. Okay? It's pretty hard to write a ordinance in regards to parking. Noise, if we get noisy, we have an ordinance on noise that the sheriff's department is supposed to enforce. The golf carts on the street is not legal. The deed restrictions are not enforced by the township, I do not believe.
Is that what council
Okay.
told you?
Now, maybe I'll back up and take time out and ask what the residents want the township to do. But this is the message that I'm getting. And I also sit on the Planning Commission.
Well, what's the planning commission's stance On the short-term rentals thing.
At this point in time, ride the fence. It's basically the first complaint we've had. Yeah, where there's smoke, there's fire. But the planning commission doesn't necessarily follow that, if you understand what I'm saying. We don't want to write an ordinance because we've had a complaint. If we did that, you know where we'd be.
Right. We haven't come earlier because we tried to address this ourselves and talk to these people. And it's been over a year that we've tried that, and it hasn't happened. It's gotten worse.
I'm not that familiar with the zoning ordinance in total by any means, but it just seems like, I mean, I think our community is zoned for residential use, and here's a commercial use. So it seems like it would be a township issue under your zoning administration.
Well, okay, I understand where you're coming from, Jim. And I know what you're saying, and I know the problem. But from the planning commission's point of view, the problems, for the most part, are already addressed, like I had explained. We've had a complaint from the residents, yourselves, and I don't believe that the planning commission guy, correct me if I'm wrong, is ready to write an ordinance for this at this time.
We're investigating.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
But if you read the ordinance, is there somebody that's going to enforce the ordinance? And
Well,
that's the problem.
Well, you know how this works. I write letters. If they ignore me, we send it to the sheriff, and
It's like any
he
of
serves
our
them with
ordinances, okay?
a civil infraction, and they can tell it to a judge.
And then it goes to the sheriff's department, and it's like everything else. There's bigger fish in the ocean. We aren't gonna come because there's noise in your backyard, or because there's too many cars parked there, or because there's a golf cart out on the street. We can argue that, but I can also understand that. So then who enforces the ordinance?
I ask that you think about it. What would you do if you had transients living next to you or next to Dennis?
Well, Jim, let me ask a question, and I believe it's a fair question. How long have you lived there?
Since 2002. So
Okay.
25 years.
Where I'm going is, this is the first year it's been confronted, or we've been confronted with it. I'm not saying it's going to go away, but it might. By the time we get an ordinance put together now, if in fact we were ready to do that, it's going to be January, February, or March.
Well,
You know,
to help
You gotta
along,
start sometime.
this is not a new problem to us.
No.
It didn't just come up.
Yeah.
We've been living with it for a couple of years, and we've been watching it develop. And as a group, this neighborhood is a very tolerant group of people. Nobody is on anybody's case about anything if they can help it. If we're coming to you with a problem, you can believe everybody's been talking about it for quite some time before.
It's not
I mean,
going
I myself, my house is located on a corner where I can watch the whole world go by in front of my eyes, and I watch this golf cart riding up and down that hill time and time again with little kids driving it, and a few others hanging off the back of it. And my wife stands there and just waits for the crash. You know, I mean, it's kind of a dangerous thing in some ways. Because these people are here, they're here on vacation, they want to just let go and have a good time, and I can understand that, you know. But they'll let their little kids take off on that golf cart, and, you know, one of these days we're going to have an accident.
About the only thing we could do immediately is I could write letters to the property owners claiming a commercial use in an area where it's not allowed. But we're on I would say, you know, the township or the zoning ordinance, it'd be difficult to defend if it, you know, went further into court or something.
Well, does it have to come from you, or can it come from the township, that correspondence that these people were here and we've had several complaints about this issue? And, I don't know, I'm not very good at writing letters, but, you know, something along the lines that this has been brought to our attention, it's not being ignored, and if it continues, something's gonna have to be done. Don't put it in those words, but.
A question that I have
Yes, sir.
is, it is in the deed that there is no commercial property allowed in that subdivision. How do we find out how that can be enforced? Can you say it's not the responsibility of the township?
Mr. Feinot had talked to our counsel on that, and your answer was again, okay?
Yeah, that deed restrictions need to be enforced by a court of law, not the town, you know. That's a deed, that's something you agreed to when you bought that property, each of you.
And you don't have an association that collects dues to have a kitty of money for such things.
To force some action.
Just out of curiosity.
That court case that was in Allegan County, that's.
We'd have to file a lawsuit then. We'd have
What
to-
subdivision?
One of you or all of you, or, yeah.
By the park. By the park.
Marlawn subdivision. John lives, I don't even know what street it is. It's to the south of, is this near your house, John?
Chris, yeah.
Yeah.
Same street?
Three of them, no. One of them's on Lakeview, two of them are on Lakeview, the other one's on Surfside.
So are they Airbnb in it or what?
They're strictly short-term rentals. The owners are never there.
I mean,
They're
they're renting them over the internet? I
They're all
mean,
advertised on the internet.
Two are on the internet, and one is through Century 21. They have a vacation rental sign right in front.
Yeah.
well, there's a lot of those, yeah.
Maybe you should have them.
I mean, we had this issue 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Well, we have the issue, a similar issue concerning garbage on the short-term rentals that are on Lake Shore Road. No one tells those people that they can't bring all their garbage from wherever they come from and throw it out there and expect our garbage people to handle it. I mean, we have I'm surprised that you don't have that problem.
We
I'm
have,
not-
we do, we have,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, we've had them laying around the neighborhood.
Because they come up and they weren't aware of the restriction on the garbage.
On garbage pickup, yeah.
You know, and so they put out a tremendous amount and expect them to come and pick it up. And we get a call because the animals get in. And anyhow, there are, along Lake Shore Road, there are problems with short-term rentals.
What you have is absentee owners who rent the place. People come and stay for a few days or a week or whatever. They clean up and leave, and their trash sits out by the curb.
From Sunday till
As long as
Wednesday
it
or
takes till the trash
Thursday.
man comes, you know. Meanwhile, it's available for every little animal friend of ours to go to work on, you know.
Other than, I would feel comfortable that Guy will pursue this in any way that he can with his correspondence with the attorney to see if there is something. In the meantime, I think that whether it be your office or the township board in general, send a letter to the people that own these places. Let them know that the complaints have been brought forward. Golf carts are illegal on the road. Can we do that?
It might
Any reason why we can't do that?
It would carry more weight, I think, if the board did it. I mean, we can mention the zoning
How will the council
ordinance.
write it?
We could ask council to write it.
That's where I would have to come from.
That's fine, I'm just saying that notice be given somehow, you know. Because they obviously don't listen to the residents, and I don't know if
They don't listen to the sheriff's department either, because they've already contacted one of them about the golf cart round, and that's continuous.
If they don't listen to the sheriff's department, I don't know why you would think they would listen to us.
You'd think they could impound that,
Yeah.
you would think.
I'm figuring the more angles we come at them, the more they'll listen.
so the golf cart, noise, is noise a problem?
At times. At times.
Trespassing?
Trespassing.
Trespassing, yes.
Yes.
I think that they will back me up, that there is property along Surfside that is not a public access. And people have, the owners have posted signs that say private property or no trespassing. And the people are looking for the beach. And I think John's had people walking in his backyard looking for the beach. And so, and these people are just walking all over the place, looking how to get down to the beach.
Now, you do have a common access
Yes.
in that subdivision. It's probably not well marked,
Well, it's not well marked.
because
But-
you guys all know where it's at.
Well, but they, on their website, they have it exactly marked out.
Okay.
So why they're trespassing everyone else's property, I don't understand. But it's happening, we address it each time, but it continues.
John, can they get to the beach from there, or is it high bank?
For me,
No, I mean from this access point.
from the access point, yes, they get to the beach.
Oh, so I thought that was all high bank across.
Well, it's high bank, but there's a set of stairs there.
Oh, is there?
Oh, yeah.
We can do that. We can ask our attorney to draft a letter explaining that the complaints have been brought forward, what the complaints are. And,
Yeah, if he can outline, I mean, you know, you'll have to address that with him, but if he can outline to them that it's a deed restriction, and it's already been the appellate court decision, you know, at least they'll understand where it's coming from.
You give me the addresses of the places.
I'll
I'll get it forwarded.
hopefully it'll improve. Or the owners will be here next week, next month, and we'll know who they are. The revenue sharing board deadline is September 1st, 2017. That's at the cycle 2, 2002, or 2017, I'm sorry. We have the generic website application, but we are looking for people to serve on various committees and positions in Manistee Township. We are looking for a revenue sharing board representative that I currently hold. We're looking for a position in the planning commission, which was held by Clara. We're looking for the Bar Lake Improvement Board representative from the township. The township appoints all four of these positions. And we're also looking for a liquor inspector. So, if anybody would like to get involved in Manistee Township, either use the generic job application or a letter of intent.
That's what either or.
If they send a letter, we'll be happy to send it.
Is there any benefit for being a liquor inspector?
No.
Just ask.
The bills for August have been provided. Motion to pay the bills for August as they are received.
I'll make a motion to allow the bills paid as presented, and also any incoming bills.
As
for
received.
the month.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Move support to pay our bills. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Manistee County MTA meeting is here August 23rd, 7 p.m. Zoning Board of Appeals, is there an appeal yet?
No.
No. But if there was, it would be September 5th, 2017, here at the hall. Planning Commission meeting will meet Thursday, September 7th, 7 p.m. at the Township Hall. Bar Lake Improvement Board did not have a meeting last week and will have a meeting on September 18th, 2017, here at the hall. The next regular meeting of the Manistee Township Board will be Thursday, September 14th, 2017, 7 p.m. at the Manistee Township Hall. Any other public comment?
Certainly was a short summer.
I'd like to ask Jeff a question, just something you reported on earlier about some tree removal in back of the hospital. Is that down below the hill? By the hospital?
Yep.
Is that is some cultural sensitive area actually back there. Has that been addressed with the tribe or anything as far as any environmental impact as far as cultural resource disturbances? Just a question.
Not that I'm aware of.
Probably not, you know.
Yeah, it's not gonna be a clear cut, it's gonna be a select cut. And we had a year from when we sold it to try to acquire the financial reimbursement of selling the trees. You know, so that was part of the terms of the sale.
I guess, you know, it's probably heavy equipment in the area.
Well, they're trying to minimize it because it's kind of tight and, you know, it can get wet down there obviously, so.
Yeah.
To be personally honest, I've never been down right there before.
I have that lower terrace is culturally resource rich, really with
That's where they're going, down below the helicopter pad?
Yeah,
The
I think
first
it's on
one.
a hill and down.
And west.
Oh, and west of the train?
I believe so,
The
actually.
building's on the US 31 level,
Oh,
but the parking for
It's gonna be down.
is down below, behind the hospital, south of the hospital, if you will. But it's on that first tier below the hospital. Not in,
I've not been down.
not into the real wet area.
I've been down there by the airport, but not right by the hospital.
I know, some years ago I did some shovel testing when they were proposing to build the sheriff's department. And I found on the upper terraces, on the upper levels, there was really nothing of historical or prehistoric significance. But once you got down below the lower terrace, yeah, things began to happen.
Something I forgot to mention is the Dodge Shooter Road project. They ran into a little snag. The project was going very well. There is a lot of construction in that area. If you read today's paper, the speed limit is being monitored. It should be done middle of next week. I don't know about striping, but the blacktop should be done and the heavy equipment should be removed by then. Anything else? Yes, ma'am.
Just mention about, John brought up about the new building for the therapy. The girls at the Health Connection are saying that they will be in that building. So, if they don't know what they're talking about, maybe not, but they're
No, I'm sure they do.
But they're saying that they will be in that building. They're getting out of the basement finally, as they say. Also, I have a question for Jeff. What are you mentioning with moving the Bar Lake Improvement Board to the township? What does that
my
say?
my personal preference is I would prefer to see it run as a committee for Bar Lake committee, if you will. And I would prefer to see the township allocate some resources for that and eliminate the taxation for the frontage owners. And this year, we may not even treat anything. At the moment, there's nothing that's been treated. There may be Phragmites that gets treated this fall, but at the moment,
We're not going to be here for the September 18th meeting, and one of the things we were concerned with is the that we don't need the Bar Lake Board anymore, the improvement board. There's nothing, it's been accomplished what it was set out to do, take care of the weeds, the invasive weeds, and that's all. There is no three parts. There is only invasive weeds according to the resolution by the Township Board. That's all the petition covers, that's all the board covers. So my question was, why not turn it over to the association board to handle? If somebody has a problem with the area by their property of the lake, just like if they have a home property problem, they solve it. They could solve their own lake problem by going to the association board and asking them to contact other people to see if anybody else needs a problem, and they can take care of it on their own with their own money. It's done on other lakes.
It could be, yeah.
It's done on other lakes our size in the same condition, and it works.
I find the concern of invasive weeds to be a real drop in the bucket, because if you put a kayak on the lake like I have, probably 25, and that's conservative, I'm sure, 25% of the lake right now, if you look out there, there's a kind of a tan hue. What that is robin's pondweed, and it comes right up to the top. I mean, you couldn't possibly get more go through any of that. And that's covering more of that lake than any invasive would ever consider. So, I mean, as far as the average depth's 2 feet, it's going to produce weeds, and it's doing a great job.
What is it, Dan, that you, this color that you referred to?
If you stand on the shore and look out toward the east, you can see sort of a tan hue on the lake. What that is, it's these emerging robin's pondweed is what it is. And it just carpets the whole area. It's
to the far east side, yes.
and down through the bar, which runs down the entire length of the lake. So, you know, it's a native. You can't do anything with it, and the lake's producing it, and that's the way it is. Bar Lake is what it is. It's not Portage Lake. It's not Bear Lake. It's a glorified wetland, and it's a unique environment itself, ecologically. So, but that's neither here nor there. We came to the meeting the other day and found 3 of us standing outside the door, wondering what happened to the meeting until we read it on the door here. We didn't know we were supposed to come to the meeting.
I apologize, I didn't know it was canceled either, because I came the next day and I called Guy, I said, what happened at last night's meeting? And he said, we didn't have it. Had I known, Dan, I would have suggested to you when I talked to you before.
And I sent out the emails.
Oh, yeah, I get one of them too.
Well, it was mentioned at the previous meeting that there would not be a meeting as well. There was no need.
All right, well, the next meeting is September 18th.
Correct.
Anything else? Motion's in order.
Make motion to adjourn.
Second.
Been moved, supported, we adjourn. All in favor?